Many people believe they are consciously choosing their partners, friends, or even business partners. But what if the truth is that we are not choosing at all? Our wounds are. In Owen Hermstring's The Law Behind the Laws, he states, "You don't attract what you want, you attract what you believe you deserve." This is not just a catchy phrase, it's a fundamental energetic truth. At the deepest subconscious level, every unresolved wound from our past becomes a magnet, pulling us toward familiar pain disguised as connection. Let's begin where most wounds are born: childhood. Think back to the first time you felt abandoned, unloved, invisible, or not enough. That moment, though seemingly small, planted a belief. Maybe your father was emotionally unavailable, or your mother only showed affection when you performed well. Your young, impressionable mind interpreted this as, love must be earned, or worse, I am not worthy of love unless I become someone else. As we grow, these interpretations harden into identity scripts, and without realizing it, we start to replay them in adulthood. We choose partners who are emotionally unavailable, like our father. We attach to people who only value us when we overgive, like our mother did. This isn't a coincidence. It's the energetic algorithm of the subconscious mind in action. Owen Hermstring explains in his book that these scripts operate like a silent operating system. You don't hear them, but they control every relational download in your life. You find yourself in the same pattern over and over, dating the same type of person with a different face, having the same arguments, experiencing the same heartbreak. You ask yourself, why does this always happen to me? But the better question is, what part of me keeps choosing this? Let's take an example. Imagine someone who grew up feeling like they had to earn love by being the perfect child. In adult relationships, this person might constantly overfunction, cooking, cleaning, supporting, fixing, while never asking for their own needs to be met. When they finally burn out and break down, they say, I give everything and get nothing. But that script was written long before their partner arrived. It wasn't love they were giving, it was survival. Owen points out that healing doesn't begin by rewriting the outer story. It starts by identifying the inner script. This means recognizing the belief behind the behavior. Energy always follows belief, he writes. If you believe you are unworthy, your energy will repel those who love deeply and attract those who confirm your belief. And here's the most shocking part. The subconscious isn't looking for happiness, it's looking for familiarity. That's why someone raised in chaos will feel oddly calm in dysfunctional relationships. It's what they know. Peace feels boring. Love without drama feels fake. This is not self-sabotage, it's self-preservation based on outdated data. The first step to breaking this cycle, Hermstring teaches, is awareness. You must become radically honest about your patterns. Ask yourself, what do my last 3 relationships have in common? How did I feel in each of them? Safe, anxious, invisible, not enough. Those repeated emotional states are clues to your wound. Then comes the deeper question. What does love feel like to me, and who taught me that? Was it conditional, distant, dangerous, overwhelming? Once you name the wound, you begin to take back your power from the script. You stop blaming the world for repeating your story and start editing the narrative from within. The good news, as Owen assures, is that wounds can be rewired. Beliefs can be broken and replaced, but not by pretending they're not there. The work is messy, slow, and often painful, but it is the only way to shift the energy you carry and the people you attract. The law behind the laws reminds us that nothing in our relational world is random. If you're stuck in a loop, the universe isn't punishing you, it's mirroring you. Not your intentions, not your prayers, but your deepest truths, the ones you're often afraid to face. And so, if your relationships keep breaking you in the same place, maybe it's time to stop fixing the outside and start healing the inside, because your wound will always choose until you choose something different. One of the most painful realizations in personal growth is discovering that the people who hurt us the most often feel strangely familiar. Not because they are like anyone we want to emulate, but because they remind us of someone from our past. This isn't coincidence. It's the subconscious recreating a familiar emotional environment, hoping irrationally to finally get it right. In The Law Behind the Laws, Owen Hermstring emphasizes, your subconscious doesn't seek what's good for you. It seeks what's known to you. That single line opens a world of understanding into why we find ourselves stuck in cycles that damage us. The subconscious is not a logical force. It is a memory bank of energetic impressions, repeating old dynamics in an attempt to resolve the original trauma. So if love felt like walking on eggshells in childhood, your subconscious may draw you to emotionally unstable partners. If you had to overextend to be seen, you'll attract people who take and rarely give. It's not that you want this, it's that you recognize it. Owen explains that unresolved pain emits a frequency, and frequencies attract matching vibrations. This is why someone raised in criticism may find compliments uncomfortable or suspicious. To them, love and attack come in the same package. They trust the attack more than the peace, and so they choose partners or friendships that feel emotionally true, not because they are healthy, but because they mirror what they've always known. Consider the woman who keeps falling for men who are distant, unpredictable, or unavailable. She might say, "I don't know why I'm attracted to this type." But the truth is, she does. Somewhere deep in her subconscious, love was once defined by effort, confusion, and fear of loss. When a healthy, available man comes along, he feels off, too simple, too easy, not intense enough. Because in her inner world, love isn't peaceful, it's painful. So she turns away, not because he's wrong for her, but because he's unfamiliar. This repetition isn't just tragic, it's deeply instructive. Owen Hermstring urges readers to stop judging themselves for these patterns. "You're not broken," he writes. "You're looping a story that was never yours to carry." Once you understand this, the shame begins to lift. You realize you weren't choosing chaos. You were trying to master a script you never wrote. But now that you see it, you can choose differently. It begins with presence. The next time you feel drawn to someone, pause and ask, "Do I feel safe? Or do I feel familiar? Do I feel expanded? Or am I tightening in old ways I recognize too well?" These subtle differences in sensation are your compass. They tell you whether you're stepping into healing or repeating a wound. Another key to breaking the loop is discomfort, not the pain of more chaos, but the awkwardness of peace. For many people, calm feels like a threat. A relationship without arguments feels boring. A partner who respects boundaries feels emotionally distant. But this is only because you've never lived in such frequencies. You haven't yet built the nervous system to hold them. It's not that something's wrong, it's that something's new. Owen's teachings invite you to become fluent in this discomfort, to stay when you want to run, to breathe when you want to react, to observe instead of engage. Over time, your nervous system recalibrates. What was once threatening becomes soothing. What was once boring becomes nourishing. You don't just think differently, you feel differently. And that's how you know your script is changing. He also reminds us that repetition can be sacred when conscious. You may still attract similar people, but now you choose how to engage. You're no longer reacting from the wound, you're responding from awareness, and in that gap lies your freedom. When the subconscious repeats the past, it is not to torture you. It is asking you to make a new choice, to love from a healed place, to allow safety to become your new normal. And that only happens when you stop chasing familiar pain and start welcoming unfamiliar peace. Owen Hermstring writes in The Law Behind the Laws that we do not attract what we desire. We attract what our inner world believes is safe. This truth is nowhere more visible than in the emotional blueprints we carry from early life. These blueprints are not logical, they are not conscious. They are patterns etched into our nervous system before we could speak, shaped by the way we were loved, ignored, soothed, or abandoned. As children, we are sponge-like beings. We don't just learn through what is taught, we absorb through what is lived. If your parents gave affection inconsistently, you learned that love is unpredictable. If you were only praised when you performed, you learned that worth must be earned. If your emotions were too much for the adults around you, you learned to hide them. These lessons become silent codes that determine how you show up in every relationship, job, and decision as an adult. This is your emotional blueprint, and it is incredibly loyal. It doesn't change because you want it to. It doesn't respond to affirmations or vision boards alone. It changes only when it is brought into full awareness and gently rewritten through new emotional experiences. Hermstring stresses, you cannot manifest a new life while still living under the emotional rules of your past. Take, for example, someone who keeps sabotaging opportunities for success. On paper, they want abundance. They visualize it. They even work hard for it. But deep within, they have a blueprint that says, Success separates me from others. If I shine too much, I'll lose connection. This code may come from childhood experiences where love was withheld or conditional, and so, without realizing it, they dim their own light, not because they're weak, but because they're loyal to a rule that once protected them. Or consider someone who keeps returning to emotionally unavailable partners. They might say, "I just always fall for the wrong people." But in truth, their blueprint tells them that emotional distance is normal. That love means reaching and proving. That intimacy must be earned. They are not broken. They are following the map they were given. The power in Hermstring's approach is this. Once you become aware of your blueprint, you are no longer bound by it. Awareness is the first act of liberation. When you recognize that your fear of abandonment isn't about your current partner, but about your 5-year-old self, left alone in a room for too long, you begin to separate the past from the present. And that space is where new scripts are written. But it's not enough to just see the pattern. You have to feel your way through it. Owen insists that healing isn't a mental process, it's an emotional recalibration. You must allow the parts of you that were never held to finally be felt. To grieve the love you didn't receive. To get angry at the silence that shaped you. To name the rules you inherited and decide, one by one, if they still serve you. Hermstring encourages readers to write down the emotional rules they live by. I must always be strong. Love means sacrifice. If I relax, I'll lose everything. Then, beside each one, write the opposite. Not as a lie, but as an invitation. I am allowed to rest. Love can be mutual and easy. My vulnerability connects me, not breaks me. These new beliefs are not just ideas. They are emotional upgrades, and when practiced consistently, they begin to overwrite the blueprint. But you'll know the work is truly landing when your nervous system reacts differently, when your body no longer flinches at kindness, when peace doesn't make you anxious, when being loved feels safer than being alone. That's when the script is changing, not because you forced it, but because you earned it through awareness and repetition. We all live by invisible scripts until we bring them into the light. And the moment we do, we gain the power to revise them, not with willpower, but with compassion. As Hermstring says, rewrite your inner laws, and the universe has no choice but to obey. In The Law Behind the Laws, Owen Hermstring makes a bold and often overlooked claim. The body remembers what the mind forgets. When it comes to relationships and the repeated patterns we experience, especially the ones that cause us pain, this quote holds an uncomfortable truth. You might cognitively know that a partner is kind, reliable, and emotionally present, but your nervous system, conditioned by years of instability or betrayal, might still scream, danger. This is why people often say, I sabotage every good relationship I enter, or I feel anxious when things go too well. It's not that they're ungrateful or broken, it's that their system is calibrated to chaos. Safe love feels unfamiliar. It lacks the drama, the chase, the adrenaline that once felt like connection. So the body interprets calm as boring or even threatening, and unconsciously tries to restore the familiar emotional chaos. Hermstring explains that your subconscious doesn't operate on logic, it operates on association. If love was paired with neglect, then neglect becomes love's twin. If affection came with strings, then unconditional presence feels suspicious. Your nervous system adapts to survive, not to thrive, and it prefers the known over the unfamiliar, even if the known is painful. This is what he refers to as the emotional home frequency, a vibrational baseline your subconscious is trained to seek. If your home frequency is built on abandonment, you'll unconsciously gravitate toward people who activate that pain, not because you want to suffer, but because that's what feels true. Your body is not loyal to your happiness. It's loyal to what it believes is normal. It's why so many people feel relief when a toxic person returns to their life, not because they're in love, but because the chaos makes sense. Hermstring writes, until you feel safe with peace, you'll sabotage anything that brings it. And that's the heart of it. You have to train your body to trust calm love. Not just believe it's possible, but feel that it's safe. Training your nervous system starts with noticing your reactions. If you pull away when someone is kind, pause. Ask yourself, what am I expecting to happen next? Often, it's not the kindness that scares you. It's the memory of what used to follow. manipulation, disappointment, rejection. Recognizing this is the first step in breaking the association. Then comes the practice of staying. Stay with the discomfort of being cared for. Stay with the silence that feels awkward but isn't hostile. Stay with the stability that once felt like stagnation. Hermstring urges us to choose the new frequency repeatedly until the old one loses its grip. It's not a one-time decision, it's a rewiring. Some of the most powerful work is somatic, breathwork, grounding, even placing your hand on your heart and saying, "I am safe now." These small acts teach the body what the mind is trying to catch up to, that love doesn't have to hurt to be real, that calm doesn't mean abandonment is coming, that you don't have to perform, chase, or please to be chosen. It's essential to move slowly. Many people eager to heal rush into healthy relationships, but find themselves overwhelmed. Hermstring warns that the nervous system doesn't adjust by force, it softens by consistency. So you don't need to leap into deep intimacy overnight. Sometimes the most radical step is allowing kindness without questioning it, letting someone hold your hand without flinching, letting silence exist without panic. And when you do feel triggered, which you will, Hermstring recommends curiosity over shame. Instead of, "What's wrong with me?" ask, "What part of me is trying to protect me right now?" This question transforms the inner critic into an inner caregiver. You begin to parent the parts of yourself that never felt safe. You offer new experiences to the nervous system that never learned trust. In time, the body adjusts. The grip of old associations weakens. And one day, you'll wake up in a peaceful relationship and feel peace inside, not panic. That's the sign that your inner world has changed, not because you forced yourself into positivity, but because you slowly, gently taught your system that love doesn't have to hurt. Owen Hermstring introduces a powerful and unsettling concept in The Law Behind the Laws, the idea of a hidden agreement, a subconscious contract you never signed consciously, but have been honoring your whole life. This agreement is not logical. It is emotional. It says something like, "I don't get to have love without pain," or "I must prove I'm worthy before I'm loved," or "Being needed is safer than being cherished." And until this agreement is identified and broken, it runs your entire relationship blueprint. Think about it. How many times have you sworn to never go back to a person, a pattern, or a pain, only to find yourself returning to it under a new disguise? This is not because you are weak. It's because your subconscious mind is loyal to its programming, not to your conscious desires. Hermstring writes, "What you say you want and what you're internally committed to are often two very different things." These hidden agreements are formed early, often in childhood, where love is experienced alongside pain, unpredictability, or conditional care. If affection was inconsistent, you might have internalized the belief, "I must work hard to be loved." If emotional support was absent, your system might have decided, "I'm on my own, I can't trust intimacy." These beliefs then crystallize into rules, unspoken laws that your adult self still obeys without realizing it. What's worse, Hermstring argues, is that your subconscious will go out of its way to prove the agreement true. You will unconsciously select partners, environments, and even friends who help you reenact the very dynamic you claim to hate. Why? Because repetition creates a sense of safety. It's the pain you know, and somewhere inside a part of you believes that if you can finally win within that pattern, you'll heal. But the pattern was never meant to be won. It was meant to be outgrown. One of the most painful truths Hermstring outlines is that many people mistake struggle for significance. If a relationship doesn't come with emotional labor, they believe it must not be meaningful. If love isn't earned through suffering, they question its depth. And so subconsciously they reject peace, not because peace is bad, but because it feels undeserved, unfamiliar, or even hollow. To dismantle the hidden agreement, Hermstring encourages deep inquiry. He suggests asking yourself, "What must I believe about myself for this pattern to make sense?" And then, even deeper, who did I make this agreement with? And is it still serving me? Often, these beliefs were formed in response to people who no longer have power over your life, but the agreement lingers, haunting your choices. Another powerful exercise is identifying what you associate with love. If you think love equals sacrifice, You'll keep finding relationships that drain you. If you think love equals chaos, you'll be drawn to those who destabilize you. Hermstring explains that until you redefine love as peace, you will confuse war for intimacy. And that's the crux of this topic. Learning to see peace not as passive, but as profound. The process of rewriting the hidden agreement is not about affirmations alone. It's about embodiment. You must feel safe in a new story before your subconscious will release the old one. That means creating relationships, first with yourself, then with others, that feel radically different from your past. It means noticing when you want to flee calm and choosing to stay. It means learning that consistency is not boring. It's safe. Hermstring offers this mantra for those ready to let go of old contracts. I release what I no longer need to survive. You don't have to keep proving your worth. You don't have to keep sacrificing joy to feel connected. You can love and be loved without suffering, but only if you stop honoring an agreement that was never really yours. By breaking the hidden agreement, you break the cycle. You stop repeating pain and start receiving peace, not as a fluke, but as your new normal. And that changes everything, because when your internal contract changes, so does your reality. There's a moment in Owen Hermstring's The Law Behind the Laws that catches you off guard, a sentence that forces you to pause and reconsider your entire relationship history. He writes, "Your nervous system doesn't seek love, it seeks what's familiar. And if love was once tangled in pain, that pain becomes your compass." This is one of the most confronting insights in the book, and yet it explains why so many people remain stuck in emotionally destructive patterns despite their conscious longing for peace. Let's break this down. The concept of the familiar pain trap suggests that your subconscious, shaped by early experiences, confuses safety with familiarity, even if what's familiar is chaos, neglect, or emotional volatility. For example, if you grew up in an environment where love was expressed inconsistently, where warmth came with withdrawal, or where affection was followed by punishment, then unpredictability becomes your emotional baseline. As an adult, you may mistake that emotional roller coaster for passion, excitement, or chemistry. This is not about fault, it's about programming. Hermstring emphasizes that the subconscious doesn't make moral judgments, it simply seeks coherence. It asks, does this situation match what I already know to be true about love, connection, or my role in a relationship? If the answer is yes, it leans in, even if the experience is damaging. That's why people who grew up caretaking emotionally unavailable parents often find themselves in relationships where they feel responsible for their partner's emotional state. It feels normal, familiar, even noble. And when someone comes along who offers love freely, with stability and no need for rescue or repair, it can feel boring, even suspicious. Hermstring calls this the resistance to ease, and it is one of the greatest hidden saboteurs of healthy love. What's especially cruel about the familiar pain trap is how it dresses itself in romantic clothing. The highs and lows of a toxic relationship mirror the emotional surges of early infatuation, and many mistake the anxiety of not being chosen consistently as evidence of deep love. Hermstring dismantles this myth. If love makes you lose yourself, it's not love. It's a pattern repeating itself, hoping you'll finally see it. Another dynamic at play here is the confusion between struggle and worthiness. Many carry the unconscious belief that love must be earned, that they are not inherently lovable, but must prove themselves, work harder, give more, sacrifice constantly. When love is offered without a fight, they question its authenticity. When someone treats them well, they wonder what the catch is. This leads to self-sabotage, pushing away what feels good because it doesn't feel deserved. Hermstring challenges this deeply. Love is not a battlefield unless you were raised in a war zone and told it was home. This line exposes the raw truth of how early relational trauma trains us to associate suffering with connection. It's why some people feel alive in the push-pull dynamic of toxic relationships and deadened in the calm waters of healthy ones. Breaking free from this trap begins with awareness. It means asking hard questions like, what does love feel like in my body? If love feels like walking on eggshells, constant proving, or waiting to be abandoned, then the template is not love, but survival. And survival is not the same as fulfillment. Hermstring suggests rewriting your emotional compass by practicing safety in connection. That means staying present in moments of peace rather than seeking the chaos that once made you feel needed. It means learning to breathe through discomfort when things feel too easy, too kind, or too calm, and realizing that ease is not emptiness, it's alignment. He offers a practice. When triggered by a healthy relationship, when you feel the urge to run, sabotage, or create conflict, pause and ask, is this discomfort because I'm unsafe, or because I'm unfamiliar with peace? That single question can create a powerful shift, allowing the conscious mind to override the subconscious reflex. Ultimately, the familiar pain trap can be undone, not by willpower alone, but by reconditioning the nervous system to accept peace as the new standard. That means engaging in relationships, practices, and environments that nourish you, not deplete you. It means realizing that love can be quiet, steady, and still feel electric. That peace is not the absence of passion, but the presence of safety. Hermstring concludes this section of the book with a truth that echoes long after the page. You weren't born to repeat the same pain with new faces. You were born to recognize it, heal it, and write a different story. And in doing so, you not only change your relationships, you reclaim the freedom to love from a place of wholeness, not a wound. At the heart of Owen Hermstring's philosophy lies one liberating idea. You are not doomed to repeat the past unless you remain unaware of it. The seventh and final topic in this series is not about diagnosing wounds, but about creating transformation. It is about stepping into authorship, taking the pen away from old scripts, and writing new ones that reflect your worth, your clarity, and your deepest desires. Hermstring explains that every person is living according to an inner script, a subconscious narrative forged through early relationships, unspoken lessons, traumatic events, and emotional associations. These scripts are rarely logical, but they are powerful. They operate beneath awareness and guide decisions like silent directors behind the scenes, and unless those scripts are examined and rewritten, they will continue to shape how we love, who we choose, and what we tolerate. One of the most common scripts people carry in relationships is, I am not enough as I am. This leads to overgiving, people-pleasing, accepting breadcrumbs instead of love, and confusing emotional labor with intimacy. Others carry the script, love always leaves, which manifests in clinging, testing partners, or abandoning relationships before they get too close, a kind of emotional self-defense. Hermstring invites readers to confront these narratives with both compassion and courage. He suggests writing them down, literally. Put the old script on paper. What is the belief that keeps running your emotional life on autopilot? Is it, I must earn love? Is it, if I open up, I'll be hurt? Is it, chaos means passion? These scripts often began as survival mechanisms, but what helped you survive isn't always what will help you thrive. To break free from these patterns, Hermstring outlines a three-step process. Identify the emotional trigger or loop. Pay attention to the moments when your reactions feel disproportionate or familiar. That's your nervous system following the old blueprint. Interrupt the automatic reaction. This might look like pausing before replying, breathing through discomfort, or even removing yourself momentarily from a situation to reflect instead of react. Install a new response through repetition. This is where the real work lies. Hermstring emphasizes that repetition is the language of the subconscious. You must practice new responses consistently, responding to kindness without suspicion, staying when intimacy arises, receiving without guilt, until the new pattern feels natural. He also stresses the importance of environment. You cannot rewire your relational patterns in isolation. You need relationships that are safe enough to hold your healing. You need people who reflect your growth, not your wound. In his words, you cannot heal a trust wound in the presence of betrayal. You heal it where there is consistency. One of the most powerful exercises Hermstring recommends is creating a new script, one that reflects the kind of love and connection you now know you deserve. Write a statement like, I am worthy of love that is safe, reciprocal, and steady. I do not chase, perform, or shrink to be chosen. I choose partners who meet me where I am, who speak truth, and who create with me, not confusion. And repeat this script daily. Not as wishful thinking, but as reprogramming. Hermstring makes it clear, this isn't about pretending pain didn't happen. It's about honoring the pain and deciding it will no longer dictate your future. Healing doesn't mean the story didn't happen, he writes. It means you finally gave it an ending that made sense. Many people ask, how will I know if I've changed? The answer is subtle, but profound. You'll notice when peace no longer feels boring, when drama no longer feels necessary. When you are no longer drawn to what once excited you but left you empty, you'll feel it in your body, in the absence of anxiety when someone is kind, in your ability to receive without guilt, in the way your boundaries become clear and calm, not defensive or reactive. Ultimately, rewriting the script means reclaiming authorship of your life. It means recognizing that while the past shaped you, it doesn't have to define you. And more importantly, it means choosing relationships that honor the person you're becoming, not the person you had to be to survive. Hermstring closes this section of The Law Behind the Laws with a line that feels like a benediction. You are not here to repeat. You are here to remember who you are, revise the story, and return to love, real love, chosen love, your love. And perhaps that is the truest law of all.